You can't really be taught to light, I don't think. You have to be able to perceive light. Every one of us wakes up in the morning and sees the sun very low, creeping across the grass, through the trees or whatever, through the city, through fog, all the rest of it, and we can appreciate that light. And what you need to do to learn to light is to say, well, I like that. Why do I like that? How can I recreate that myself? Find a photograph that you like and ask yourself, what is it about that photograph that attracts you? What is it about the light that attracts you? And that's how you build up. What I did was actually go to see films with cameramen that I admired or whose work I thought I liked, and then I would watch and see what they did, and right in the very beginning I found I was trying to copy what they were doing. All those old Hollywood black and white films I thought were actually beautifully lit, and I learned a lot from those. Greg Toland, his most famous effort is Citizen Kane, but actually made a lot of other films, Wuthering Heights, The Long Voyage Home particularly, which is the most interesting film visually. And not a film that's very well known, which is a shame. But he did some great effects with light, and he experimented a lot with a long depth of field where everything's in focus. And what I picked up from him was shadow and darkness. I think people nowadays don't use enough shadow and darkness in their films. I like to do things where the light is coming in of little orifices here and there. A smoke atmos always works well with light. It actually creates a background in itself, and you can stand to one side, not see the grill, and just see the beams of light coming through the grill, and that itself makes, I think, a very attractive shape.
Got it? Very nice.
Roger is a designer who works with light, and he's very good at giving you all these little things to work with. So you don't so much discuss as you find yourself blending together. And very often the first ideas you have never get used because something else better comes out. Being that it's set in the future, 2024, it means that you've got a lot of opportunity to create an environment and a number of places that don't actually exist. And the script is full of places that don't actually exist. So I'm free to sort of create any mood or any sort of effect I really like.
And action, Sean.
Russell had seen Max Headroom and he liked those effects. I'd seen videos that Russell had directed and I could see that we were on certain wavelengths. We talked about the shield and what sort of effects that would have. We talked about the atmosphere smoke, the fact that everything would be wet. The whole thing about the city street set is, of course, it isn't a real street, but it has to have the illusion of a real street. So a lot of the energy goes into just cabling up and just supplying electricity to every single part of that set so that the camera can move fairly efficiently in any one direction. Then from that, you build up the look that you're going for and the type of light you like to use. I like to use light which is backlit. I find that creates an illusion of 3 dimensions. It's always attractive to look at. So on top of that, you then have to build in street lamps, neon signs, doorways, windows, all those sort of things that give the street life. So you can throw on a switch before choosing a shot, and there are a number of items which are there for you to look at. Now, the shield itself has a sort of ripple, and that's been the most difficult thing to achieve, particularly as the actual rippling effect won't be done until the principal photography is completed, probably 3 or 4 months later. I'm involved at this point in discussing with the optical man how I can do something to help him and what he's going to do to help me. For instance, if he's animating electrical charges, which happens quite a lot in the film, I then create on the set a rippling light effect. The audience is very sophisticated now, and they know that when the camera moves slowly in, they feel something happening, they feel tension, they feel all these things, or if it's racing sideways, they feel the excitement of a chase. The Lumar is a very versatile crane. You can use it absolutely anywhere you like, underground, 50 feet in the air, inside a room, looking out of a building. It can go through windows, it can go through doors, it can go very, very low on the ground. It's been something that's attracted me since I was a kid, 9 years old. I used to see these shots of these great cranes in Gone with the Wind, things like that. And just watching the thing move, to me, I thought was absolutely fabulous. At the end of this film, I will take a holiday for about 3 weeks. Probably sleep most of that somewhere in the sun, just to get it all out of my brain, just to empty all the information, the detail. What happens next, we shall see.